Listen close. Sleeper cells are activating inside the U.S. At the exact same time, the swamp suddenly solves a 4-year-old pipe bomber case. That's not coincidence. That's what you call choreography. And you're going to see the pattern before this video is over. So let's begin. The cells are awakening, man. Another Afghan national, another ISIS-K affiliate, another refugee brought in under the Biden administration. But this wasn't just some dude with bad intentions. This one, John Shah Safi, was tied to ISIS-K at the structural level. He wasn't on the fringe. He wasn't a sympathizer. He was embedded. He comes in just like the other ones under Operations Allies Freedom, a program that was supposed to save interpreters, but instead it became a funnel for unvetted adult males slipping through the cracks. This is the third one in a week's time. So ICE released these details about it. He arrived, vetted. He lived quietly. He blended in, and he stayed off the radar. And this is exactly what ISIS-K doctrines teach. They embed, wait, activate only when instructed, right? You want to know how I know? Because years ago, when I was in the Marine Corps, I went through the FBI counterterrorism training, okay? And got this coin to prove it. Now, this is before I realized the FBI was completely corrupt. But anyway, but what I saw in this anti-terrorism training, so on, was that this is footage I didn't show to the public, okay? But there were training videos of terror cells already here in the U.S. Now, this was like right, after 9/11, hidden, dormant, waiting, like real footage. I saw it. And these men, they don't roll in squads. They don't stand out. They don't post flags online. They blend in. Now, the guy the other day was posting online, but the one we saw the week before, the initial one, was part of the CIA Zero unit. Usually they wait. And here's the truth. The government will never tell you. We don't catch the dangerous ones. We only catch the sloppy ones. Or when the dangerous ones do something like we saw up in DC. The ones who talk too much, the ones that make mistakes, the ones who break the discipline, that's the ones we catch. The real threats, the disciplined ones, they're still out there. And we have to ask ourselves, how many more were brought in under the same jet load? Okay. We also had the wide open border, zero vetting there, mass importation of fighting age males from hostile regions all over the world. Do you think that was an accident? Or do you think it's maybe preparation? Because these arrests aren't isolated. They're not. This is a pattern, a rhythm, a pulse. Cells are activating. And now, right as the threat pictures take shape, the swamp drops the next little performance. Maybe the system brought them here wanting to activate them, wanting to cause chaos in America by way of using terrorists on our own American soil. Maybe from the deep state American intel agencies. They may have had a hand in this. What we're seeing is called activation signals. And right now we're hitting all of them, okay? The pattern usually looks something like this. You have stage 1, embed. Stage 2, sleep, okay? Sleep is in working random jobs or going day to day, not really stirring up any problems in America. Stage 3 is signal received. Stage 4 is to prepare. Stage 5, attempt and opt. Stage 6, either execute or get caught being sloppy. We're at stage 3 and 4 across the country right now. And this is not paranoia. This is structure of modern asymmetric warfare. You don't need divisions. You don't need uniforms. You don't need training camps. You don't need Red Dawn. All you need is 20 to 50 men scattered across the U.S., each waiting for the message. And that's how you'll destabilize a nation. And just out of nowhere, after 4 years of no suspects, no leads, no footage, no ability to enhance the clear CCTV system on Earth, right? We get the bomber fiasco, okay? The swamp suddenly says, you know what, guys? Oh, hey, we solved this. Here's your guy. Case closed. You got to give me a break. This is
heavy police presence at the home of the suspect they have identified in the D.C. pipe bomb probe. So this is a live look from the Fox 5 D.C. helicopter as you see in a cul-de-sac. The FBI now at the home of this suspect. And we were learning more earlier as we were hearing from the FBI after they announced that they made an arrest in a nearly 5-year-old investigation into who placed pipe bombs in Washington, D.C. before the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. This arrest marks the first time investigators have settled on a suspect in an act that has had a long...
Did you like how they said riot?
Long investigation by law enforcement and also led to some conspiracy theories. Those pipe bombs were placed on January 5th, 2021 near the office.
Give me a break. Give me a break. 4 years. Just, we don't know nothing. Then out of nowhere, this guy pops up. Okay. So for 4 years, they claimed they couldn't identify a single person connected to the pipe bomber. The same FBI that can identify a guy from a blurry grocery store receipt. The same FBI that can track down grandmas in Ohio for walking on Capitol grass. The same FBI that geofenced half the city on January 6th. You know, I saw the other day the FBI caught a guy because he took a picture of, I think, a cookie, and they scanned his fingerprints from social media. But somehow this guy, we couldn't identify the bombers whose movements were recorded from 15 different angles. Really? And now magically it gets solved? Listen to Pam Bondi.
Cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI. The FBI, along with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our prosecutors, have worked tirelessly for months, sifting through evidence that had been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration for 4 long years. Let me be clear, there was no new tip, there was no new witness, just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work.
So, no new video, no new technology, no whistleblower, no updated footage, no forensic breakthrough. Just a press conference, and the mainstream press clapped like seals. Brother, that's not justice, that's theater. Let's talk about the details they don't want you analyzing, okay? A few weeks ago, independent investigator and journalists, the real experts, not the political ones or bought and paid for, pointed out something the government ignored, that the bomber's gait appeared to match a female federal agent. Short stride, inward foot rotation, arm swing, symmetry, consistent with a woman. Backpack placement, inconsistent with a male. Then there was the backpack switch theory, the routing, the timing, the fact that Secret Service agents were in the area. None of this was investigated publicly, right? Instead, the government sits on it for years and dumps the case when America's distracted. And here's the burning question is you have to ask, why now? You know, these are the documents that popped up talking about Cole here. Basically, they tracked him down through cell phone, geofencing, and so on, the location of buying the stuff at the store, etc. Okay. But why release it now? You know, I hate to be a skeptic. Right when terror cells are popping up on U.S. soil, maybe because everybody's pissed off, nothing happened with Epstein files. They're like, man, we got to throw them a bone. you know, because all of us have been asking, dude, I've shown this J5 bomber guy numerous times over the years, right? It's also funny to me, like I constantly get people that come on my channel, like I guess they just pop up and they're like, why weren't you concerned about the Epstein files until now? Why weren't you under Biden? Dude, have you not been watching my channel? I at least mention that junk every week, man. You know, every Black Scout shirt has a message in it. Dude, I put Epstein messages from going back to 2019. Some of you probably got them with the Epstein messages in them. Okay. So that's the thing. Like, it's funny people pop up in here. I've been talking about this. I've been talking about the Vegas. I talk about it all the time. But right now, when the threat levels rise, we got freaking terror cells popping up all over the country. Right when the border crisis is exposing the administration failure because we're going after Carlos the landscaper versus real bad guys. One of my tribe members last night and mentioned in the comment stream, she was like, well, at least we're getting some people out. That type of mentality will be the same as this. Okay. You got a police department in your area. Okay. The police chief comes up there and he says, guys, we're really going to crack down on crime around here. Okay, this would be equivalent to saying we're going to start deportations, lock down the border. So this would be the same thing. We're going to really crack down on crime out here, guys. And then the next thing you know, you have 100 officers. They increase the officer force, and they're out there traffic violation, traffic violation, traffic violation. But the murderers, the Chesters, the drug dealers, they're still out. Oh, no, we're guys, we're doing great police work. We're pulling over lots of criminals. People are committing crimes, traffic violations. We're getting them. That's the same equation. Going after Juanita cleaning houses or going after freaking sleeper cells. Maybe Trinde Arawa. That name sound familiar, where Maduro pumped these operatives up here, these criminal operatives. Why not go after these instead the college student going to go see her mom for Thanksgiving? Not that I'm saying, hey, let them slide. No, but we need to have a tier of, hey, let's get the real bad ones first. And then, you know, the ones that came across illegally, you know, down here that aren't committing crime. We get them, but just later. Let's focus on the ones that are actually hurting people, right? Does that make sense? But going back to this thing here, right? And why this even equates to why I've even changed my opinion a lot about the current administration, because this isn't even justice. This is what you call a distraction, because it's a pressure release valve. That's what always happens here. When the building, oh, we got to win. Great police work. Great police work, she says. The swamp protects us all. Get this straight, right? The Biden administration had evidence for 4 years and sat on it. First off, that is a cover-up, period. And the FBI, America's premier law enforcement agency, either protected a federal insider, B, failed on purpose, or C, buried intel to avoid political consequences, okay? And you see that they pumped out this today. Oh, yeah, man, how an innocent woman's name was tied to the J6 pipe bombs, right? So talking about the FBI lady. They couldn't wait to get that one out there. But pick whatever one of those, A, B, or C, that pisses you off the most. And here's where the swamp really shines. They know the public's losing trust. They know the terror threat is rising. They know the midterm election cycle's heating up. So what do? They toss you a crumb and say, hey, man, see, we are the good guys. We finally saw something. Meanwhile, Christopher Wray is sitting on his sofa watching Netflix, probably drinking a scotch, laughing about all this, still avoiding accountability. Why is he not being put in front of a prosecutor? Let's ask the blunt questions. If this was such a major win, why isn't Wray even asked, why did this take another administration to do it? 4 years. Why is it being grilled about? Why isn't he being grilled about evidence suppression? Why isn't he explaining the tech failures? Why are everyone involved in the bomber case not being brought up on charges? Every FBI agent's still there. They hadn't got rid of any of them. Ray's not being brought up on charges, right? The FBI agents are still there. Cash Patel has jumped both feet into the swamp, dude. Because This isn't incompetence. This is control. They throw you a crumb and say, hey, man, we're doing something, guys. You know that, you wanted that stuff, right? And I'll say it, man. Kash Patel has joined the machine. Pam Bondi is the machine. Pam Bondi just got put over some kind of 2A thing, and I'm scared to even see what that's supposed to be. Pro 2A, I don't know. They jump on TV celebrating, spiking the football, claiming victory. Victory over what? A single arrest for a 5-year-old operation with no real explanation and zero accountability for the people who covered it up? That is not a victory. That is optics. It's low-hanging fruit. If Kash Patel and Bondi aren't calling for Ray to be at least brought before Congress, should be in jail, if they aren't calling for real investigation in FBI internal actors, if they aren't demanding full disclosure of suppressed evidence, because obviously this was, what else has been suppressed? And if the FBI can suppress evidence, do you really believe anything they do anymore? Are you really going to believe the Epstein list when it comes out? Then they are not fighting the swamp, they're protecting it. This is what the swamp does. They give you low-hanging fruit so you forget about the roots. They give you a foot soldier so you stop looking at the generals. They give you a headline so you quit asking questions. This is swamp pacification, a psyop, a bone thrown to silence the criticism. But not here, not on my channel. And what I keep getting back to is if you do not drain the swamp, dismantle the system, these temporary offices held by the president down, because they're temporary employees is what they are. They'll change in a few years, but you know who will still be there? The swamp will still be there. It was supposed to be get rid of the deep state. The deep state will be there after these temporary employees, president, vice president, DOJ, on down, all these positions, Dan Bongino's, Kash Patel's, all of them gets changed. And we'll get back to the same swampy business we've always been into, right? And you have to ask, what is this really about? Two things are happening simultaneously. Sleeper cells are being activated. The swamp is manufacturing a distraction. The timing is not random. The threat level's rising. The terror networks are reorganizing. The U.S. is exposed from within. And instead of addressing the real danger, the swamp wants you focused on a neat little crime they solved. Right when they need a political win, because they need it coming into midterms. You'll see some other bullshit like this coming into the midterms too. Okay. Oh, yeah, we got a guy. Oh, we got a Trende Arawa guy. We caught a terrorist that messed up. This guy messed up, right? He blew his own cover, okay? But the ones that aren't, you got to think. This guy was working jobs and so on. But here's the bigger picture, man. They'll never prosecute the true architects. Not Ray, not DHS brass. Mayorkas, anyone? A National Guard member was killed, Mayorkas. Not the intelligence supervisors who buried the evidence. Not the federal agents who were in the area that day. Not the political operatives who benefit from chaos. Hell, Kash Patel covered for the FBI at J6. He did. He said they were there as a response. They were not there integrating the crowd. If they were there, why were they undercover? If they were called there as a response force, why were they undercover? That doesn't make sense. You're also not going to see the institutions who careers depend on fear, like the military-industrial complex. The bomber case is a distraction. The cells are the real problem, and the government knows it, right? And then if we didn't want to hear any more distraction, Letitia James, man, she's not going to get re-indicted, came out today. This is what I keep saying. Nothing ever happens. It's all memes. It's all memes and press conferences. Oh, she's being charged. Nothing happened. Call me. No, nothing happens. It's all optics. It's WWE and suits. It's what it is. And the other big thing is like nobody wants to say is America's enemies aren't coming. They're already here. Their cells are compartmentalized, autonomous, disciplined, waiting. And the government is praying for you to stay distracted long enough for them to avoid responsibility, right? And the Venezuela heating up. Maduro's got tons of Venezuelan operatives already here. What do you think he's going to do? Turn up the volume. Then we got the ISIS-K guys here, CIA trained, 0 unit guys here ready to get turned on. What do you think is going to happen if they're spread all across the United States? Bad day for all of us, right? They want to distract you. They want to give you little wins. Oh, man, we're doing good, man. Doing good. But we don't do distractions here. Not on my channel. I don't play that, okay? But sad day. Sad day. Before I close, I mentioned in the community post today that I was nominated again this year for the Gundy's Award. For this time, for the first time, for the most influential male. I don't think I'm the most influential male. There's plenty more influential males out there. This was back a few years ago. I got the most likely to survive the apocalypse. Anyway, cool statue, and I'm grateful as hell because I got it from you guys voting for me, right? You got me this a few years back, and it means a lot. You know, really it does. So if you want to support me in this most influential male category, you can vote daily. I'll put the links in the description, guys. I do appreciate it. Someone said, hey, man, don't get a big head. Dude, I already got a trophy. I'm still wearing the same size hat. So anyway, don't worry about that. I'm not here for fame. I'm not here for fortune. I'm here because I have a calling. I feel like I always have a calling in life and something for that God wants us to do the greater good. And that's what I feel like I have an opportunity to do here. And I'll go into that kind of stuff later, obviously, but I do appreciate you guys always. Right. But going back, man, no agency is coming to save you. No politician is coming to protect you, and no institution is on your side. When the swamp throws you a bone, look for the wolf behind it. Okay. I want you to do that. And always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Black Scout.